The shuttle door opened and Park Tae-ho stepped onto orbital station VOS 7 for the first time. Cold air hit his face. The temperature was far below what any human would call comfortable. His breath came out in small white clouds as he walked down the metal ramp. He was the first human to ever set foot in the Wailu's Galactic Coalition Military Academy. This was a place that had trained elite soldiers from 47 different alien species for over 3,000 years. The hallways were wide enough to fit creatures 10 times his size. The lights were dim because most species here could see better in darkness than humans could. A tall creature with gray skin and 4 arms stood waiting for him. Its face had no nose, just 2 large black eyes and a thin mouth. This was his assigned guide. "You are the human," the creature said. Its voice was flat and cold. "Follow." Tae-ho followed without a word. He had learned before coming here that most aliens did not think highly of humans. Earth had only discovered faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. To the older species of the galaxy, humans were like babies who had just learned to walk. They were not respected. They were barely noticed. The guide led him through corridors filled with alien cadets. Tae-ho saw creatures of every shape and size. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some had hard shells like insects. Some floated instead of walking. All of them stopped to stare at the small human walking past them. "That is a human?" One of them said in a clicking voice. "So small. So soft. It will not last 1 week," another replied. Tae-ho heard them. His translator device, worn behind his ear, turned their alien words into Korean. He kept his face calm and kept walking. He had expected this. He had prepared for this. His quarters were in Section 9, the coldest part of the station. The room was designed for silicon-based life forms that needed freezing temperatures to survive. When he opened the door, frost covered the walls. His bed was a hard metal slab. There was no blanket. His roommate was already inside. It was a massive insectoid creature, standing over 2 meters tall. It had 6 legs, 2 large arms with sharp claws, and a head covered in compound eyes that reflected the dim light like broken glass. Its body was covered in a hard brown shell. "I am Krill," the creature said. Its mandibles clicked together as it spoke. "You are the meat creature." "I am Park Tae-ho," he replied calmly. "I am a human." "Same thing," Krill said, and turned away. Tae-ho set down his small bag of belongings. He had brought very little. Some clothes. Some photographs of his family back on Earth. A small book his grandmother had given him before he left. He placed these things on a metal shelf beside his bed and sat down. The cold seeped into his bones. He would need to request a heating unit. He would need to find extra blankets. He would need to adapt, or he would freeze to death in his sleep. But he did not complain. Complaining would change nothing. The next morning, all new cadets gathered in the main hall for orientation. Commander Volus stood on a raised platform at the front. He was a reptilian creature with 6 limbs, green scales, and eyes that never seemed to blink. He had served in the coalition military for 200 years. He had killed more enemies than most cadets could count. "Welcome to the academy," Volus said. His voice was deep and rough like stones grinding together. "Many of you will not survive your first year. Some of you will quit. Some of you will fail. Some of you will die in training exercises. This is expected. This is acceptable. Only the strong graduate from this institution." He paused and looked across the crowd of cadets. His eyes stopped on Tae-ho. "In 3 weeks, we will hold training day. This is a 72-hour combat exercise. You will be tested in extreme heat, extreme cold, zero gravity, simulated combat, and survival scenarios. Cadets who fail will be expelled. Cadets who excel will earn honor." A murmur went through the crowd. Training Day was famous across the galaxy. It was brutal. It was legendary. Many cadets did not survive it. Squads have been assigned, Volus continued. The human will be placed in Squad 9. Several aliens laughed. Tejo did not understand why until later, when he learned that Squad 9 was the remedial unit. It was where they put the cadets who were expected to fail. The weak ones. The broken ones. The ones nobody else wanted. His squad mates were exactly what he expected. There was Krill, his roommate, who had failed the previous year because he froze under pressure. There was Pell, a small amphibian creature with blue skin who could not handle dry environments. And there were Aura and Ven, twin avian creatures with bright feathers who never took anything seriously. "We are the Reject Squad," Aura said cheerfully when they first met. "We are going to fail." Ven added with equal cheer. Pell said nothing. He just looked at Tejo with large wet eyes full of hopelessness. Krill clicked his mandibles. "The meat creature will die first." Tejo looked at each of them. These were his teammates. These were the ones he would need to depend on. These were the ones the Academy had already given up on. "No," he said quietly. "We will not fail. And I will not die." The aliens stared at him. They did not believe him. Why would they? He was just a human. Small, soft, weak. But Park Tejo had not come across the galaxy to fail. He had not left his home, his family, and his world just to be laughed at by creatures who had never seen what humans could do. He would show them. He would show them all. Training Day was in 3 weeks. That was enough time. The species of the Galactic Coalition had evolved on many different worlds. Some came from planets with low gravity where they could float through the air. Some came from frozen moons where ice was warmer than their blood. Some came from hive worlds where millions worked together as one mind. But none of them had evolved on a world like Earth. Earth was a death world. The gravity was strong. The sun was bright and harsh. The weather changed without warning. Predators hunted in every ocean, every forest, every desert. And the humans who survived on that world had become something strange because of it. They became creatures who did not know how to stop. Tejo began his training the day after orientation. The Academy had scheduled rest periods built into every exercise. Cadets were expected to train for 2 hours, then rest for 1 hour. This was considered healthy and proper by Coalition standards. Tejo ignored the schedule. He woke up 2 hours before the station lights came on. He ran through the cold corridors of Section 9 until his lungs burned and his legs shook. Then he did push-ups until his arms gave out. Then he studied the station maps until he had memorized every corridor, every room, every air duct and maintenance tunnel. When the official training sessions began, he trained with his squad. When the sessions ended, he continued alone. The Academy had a special room called the Gravity Chamber. It was designed to simulate the crushing gravity of heavy planets. Most cadets avoided it because the pressure was painful and dangerous. The room was used as a punishment for troublemakers. Tejo trained there every night. The first time he entered, the gravity pressed down on him like a giant hand. Every step felt like walking through deep water. His bones ached. His heart pounded. After 30 minutes, he collapsed and had to crawl out of the room. The second night, he lasted 45 minutes. By the end of the first week, he could run in the gravity chamber for 2 hours without stopping. Other cadets began to notice. "The human is in the punishment room again," a cadet said one evening. A small crowd had gathered outside the gravity chamber to watch through the window. Inside, Tejo was doing pull-ups on a metal bar, his body straining against the crushing force. "Why does he hurt himself like this?" Pal asked. The small amphibian had come to watch out of curiosity. His blue skin was dry and cracking because the station air was not wet enough for him. He looked miserable. Krill stood beside him. The big insectoid watched the human with his compound eyes, trying to understand what he was seeing. Humans are persistent predators, Krill said slowly. His translator struggled with the words. I read about them in the species database. Long ago, on their home world, they hunted by chasing animals until the animals died from exhaustion. They did not stop. They never stopped. Their prey would run faster, but humans would keep walking, keep following, for hours and days until the prey collapsed. Pell shivered. That is terrifying. Yes, Krill agreed. It is. Inside the chamber, Tejo finished his pull-ups and dropped to the ground. He immediately began doing sit-ups. His face was red. Sweat poured down his skin. He looked like he was in terrible pain, but he did not stop. Days passed. Tejo's body began to change. His muscles grew harder. His movements became faster. The cold of Section 9 no longer bothered him because he had trained his body to generate more heat. The low oxygen levels of certain corridors no longer made him dizzy because his lungs had grown stronger. But his squad did not improve with him. Krill still froze when faced with pressure. During a simple combat drill, an instructor surprised him with a loud noise, and the big insectoid locked up completely. He stood like a statue for 3 minutes before he could move again. Powell was getting weaker. The dry air was hurting him. He could barely walk without gasping for breath. The Academy medical staff gave him hydration treatments, but they were not enough. Aura and Ven refused to take training seriously. They laughed during drills. They made jokes during lectures. They seemed to believe that failure was unavoidable, so why bother trying? One night, Tejo returned to his quarters after training. His hands were bleeding. He had been climbing ropes for hours, and the rough fiber had torn the skin from his palms. He sat on his metal bed and looked at the wounds without expression. The door opened. A young woman stepped inside. She had black hair and sharp eyes, and she wore the uniform of a medical trainee. Her name was Yoon Hana, and she was the only other human on the entire station. I heard you were hurting yourself again, she said. She sat down beside him and took his hands without asking permission. She began cleaning the wounds with supplies from her medical kit. It is training, Tejo said. It is madness. She wrapped bandages around his torn palms. You are going to kill yourself before training day even starts. What will that prove? That humans are stupid? It will prove that humans do not give up. Hannah shook her head. Your squad is a disaster. Krill is broken. Pal is dying. The twins have already accepted failure. You cannot carry them all by yourself. Tejo looked at her. His eyes were calm and certain. I am not trying to carry them, he said. I am trying to show them what they can become. They think they are weak because everyone has told them they are weak. But they are wrong. Krill is the strongest member of our squad. Pell is the smartest. Aura and Ven are the fastest and most agile. They do not believe that. Then I will make them believe it. Hannah finished bandaging his hands. She looked at him for a long moment, then sighed. You are either the bravest human I have ever met, she said, or the most foolish. Perhaps both, Tejo replied. She left without another word. Tejo lay down on his cold metal bed and closed his eyes. Tomorrow he would train harder. Tomorrow he would push his squad further. Tomorrow he would take one more step toward showing the galaxy what humans were made of. Training day was coming, and Squad 9 would be ready. The alarm screamed at 4 in the morning. Tejo was already awake. He had trained his body to sleep light and wake fast. When the sirens filled the air, he was on his feet before the sound finished its first cycle. Training day had begun. Red lights flashed in the corridors. A voice boomed from the speakers in every room. All cadets report to assigned sectors immediately. Training day is now active. Repeat. Training day is now active. Taeho grabbed his gear and ran. He had memorized the station layout. He knew exactly where to go. Sector 12. That was where Squad 9 had been assigned. He found his teammates gathered at the sector entrance. They looked tired and scared. Pell was shaking. His blue skin had turned pale. Krill stood frozen, his compound eyes darting in every direction. Aura and Ven were holding each other's wings, their usual jokes forgotten. "Listen to me," Taeho said. His voice was calm but firm. "We have 72 hours. The station will throw everything at us. Heat, cold, combat, survival challenges. Other squads will try to eliminate us. But we are going to survive. Do you understand?" "How?" Pell whispered. "We are the weakest squad in the academy." "No," Taeho said. "We are the squad that everyone underestimates. That is our advantage." The sector doors opened with a grinding sound. Hot air blasted out, carrying the smell of metal and smoke. Sector 12 was an industrial nightmare. It was filled with massive machines, burning pipes, and pools of toxic liquid. The temperature was over 50 degrees. Warning lights flashed everywhere. "Move," Taeho commanded. They entered the sector. The heat hit them like a wall. Pal immediately stumbled. His amphibian body was not designed for high temperatures. His skin was already starting to crack. "I cannot," Pal gasped. "It is too hot. I will die." Taeho grabbed him and pulled him forward. "There is a coolant pipe 30 meters ahead. I saw it on the station maps. You can rest inside it while we plan our next move." "Can you make it 30 meters?" Pell looked at him with wide, frightened eyes. Then he nodded slowly. "Good. Krill, help him walk. Aura, Ven, take the high ground. Climb those pipes and watch for enemy squads and combat drones." For a moment, nobody moved. They were not used to taking orders from a human. They were not used to taking orders from anyone. Then Krill stepped forward. His large claws wrapped gently around Pell's small body, supporting him. "I will carry him," the insectoid said. The twins looked at each other, then spread their wings and flew up to the pipes above. They moved through the sector as a team. The first hour was brutal. Combat drones patrolled the corridors, firing elimination beams at any cadet they detected. One beam hit you and your score dropped. 3 hits and you were eliminated from training day. Taeho led his squad through the shadows. He had memorized the patrol patterns during his late-night study sessions. He knew when to move and when to hide. He knew which paths were safe and which were traps. They found the coolant pipe and pushed Pell inside. The cold liquid inside soothed his burning skin. He sighed with relief. "Stay here," Taeho told him. "Rest and recover. We will come back for you when it is safe to move." "You will leave me?" Pell's voice trembled. "We will never leave you." Taeho put his hand on the amphibian's shoulder. "I promise, no one in this squad gets left behind, ever." They continued through the sector. Reports came through their communication devices. Squad 3 had already lost 2 members. Squad 7 had been completely eliminated by a trap. Squad 1, the elite unit led by the crystalline giant Torak, was dominating the scoreboard. They had already completed 3 objectives and eliminated 5 enemy cadets. "We cannot compete with Squad 1, Aura said through the communicator. She and her brother were watching from above, tracking enemy movements. "We do not need to compete with them," Taeho replied. "We just need to survive." A combat drone appeared around the corner. Its sensors locked onto Krill and Taeho. It raised its weapon. "Down!" Taeho shouted. He threw himself at Krill, pushing the big insectoid out of the way. The elimination beam hit Taeho in the back. Pain exploded through his body. It felt like fire and ice at the same time. His muscles locked up. He fell to the ground and lay there, gasping. "The human is hit." Aura called from above. Tae-ho forced himself to breathe. The pain was fading slowly. One hit. He could survive 2 more before elimination. He pushed himself up. Krill stared at him. You took the shot from me. You are bigger, harder to miss. I am smaller, easier to dodge. Tae-ho checked his gear. Keep moving. But why would you? Because you are my squad mate. Tae-ho met the insectoid's compound eyes. And I do not let my squad mates fall. Not ever. Now move. Something changed in Krill's expression. His mandibles clicked in a pattern Tae-ho had never heard before. The translator could not interpret it. But somehow, Tae-ho understood anyway. It was respect. They retrieved Pal from the coolant pipe. His condition had improved. The twins guided them through the safest paths from above. They moved as a unit, covering each other, protecting each other. By the end of Hour 12, Squad 9 had completed 2 objectives and lost 0 members. They were still alive. And training day was just getting started. 48 hours into training day, Park Tae-ho had taken 6 elimination shots. Any other cadet would have been eliminated after 3. But humans were different. Their bodies could take more punishment. Their pain tolerance was higher than most species in the galaxy. And Tae-ho had trained himself to push even further beyond those limits. Every shot had been taken. Protecting his squad, he shielded Pal during an ambush in the flooded corridors of Sector 8. He blocked a sniper beam meant for Aura when she flew too close to an enemy position. He stood between Krill and 3 combat drones, letting them hit him again and again while the insectoid escaped. His body was covered in burns and bruises. His muscles screamed with every step. But he kept moving. He always kept moving. You are dying, Krill said during a rest period. They were hiding in an abandoned storage room, catching their breath before the next challenge. I am not dying, Tae-ho replied. His voice was tired but steady. I am hurting. There is a difference. Your species is insane. Yes, Tae-ho almost smiled. We are. The next challenge was the zero-gravity zone in Sector 4. The artificial gravity had been turned off in a massive warehouse-sized chamber. Cadets had to float through the space while avoiding combat drones that could move in any direction. Squad 9 entered the zone. Immediately, they began floating upward. Pal panicked and started spinning. Aura and Ven were fine because they could fly. Krill grabbed onto a wall with his claws, refusing to let go. Tae-ho had trained for this. He pushed off from the door frame and floated gracefully into the chamber. He had spent hours in the Academy's zero-gravity training room, learning how to control his body without gravity. Pal, stop moving, he called out. The more you struggle, the more you spin. Relax your body. Let me come to you. He floated to the amphibian and grabbed him. Pal was crying. Tears floated off his face like small spheres of water. I am useless, Pal sobbed. I cannot help with anything. I just slow everyone down. You mapped the enemy positions in Sector 12. You found the hidden supply cache in Sector 8. You solved the computer puzzle in Sector 6. Pal, you are the smartest being in this squad. Without you, we would have failed hours ago. But I cannot fight. I cannot move. I cannot survive without help. Tae-ho held the amphibian's face in his hands. Then let us help you. That is what squads do. We cover each other's weaknesses. Your weakness is physical. Mine is that I do not know the technical systems. Krill's weakness is his fear. Aura and Ven's weakness is their focus. But together, we have no weaknesses. Do you understand? Pal stared at him. Slowly, he stopped crying. He nodded. Double quotes, good. Now help me figure out how to get everyone through this chamber without getting shot. Pal's brilliant mind went to work. Within minutes, he had calculated the patrol patterns of every drone in the chamber. He directed the squad through the safest paths, calling out when to move and when to freeze. They made it through without a single hit. On hour 50, they encountered Squad 1. It happened in the central hub of the station, a massive circular room where multiple sectors connected. Squad 1 was there, led by Torak. The crystalline giant was over 3 meters tall. His body was made of living stone that shimmered like diamonds. He was considered the strongest cadet in the Academy's history. "Wow," Torak said when he saw them. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. The remedial unit. And their pet human. His squad laughed. There were 4 of them, all elite cadets. One was a serpentine creature with poison fangs. One was a walking mass of tentacles. One was a 4-legged beast covered in armor plates. They were the best of the best. "You should surrender," Torak continued. "Save yourselves the humiliation. We are going to win training day. You are going to finish last. That is simply how things are." Tejo looked at his squad. Pal was exhausted. Krill was shaking. Aura and Ven were holding their wings close, trying to make themselves look small. He stepped forward. "No," he said. Torak tilted his massive head. "No? That is all you have to say?" "We are not here for glory," Tejo said quietly. "We are not here to win. We are here to finish. And we will finish. You cannot stop us. No one can stop us." Torak stared at him for a long moment. Then he laughed, a terrible grinding sound. "Kill them," he said. The battle lasted 11 minutes. Squad 9 lost. Of course they lost. They were fighting the elite squad with damaged bodies and tired minds. Tejo took 2 more elimination shots, protecting his teammates. Krill was tagged once when he finally unfroze and charged at Torak like a wild animal. Aura was hit while diving to shield her brother, but they made Squad 1 pay for every inch. Pell disabled 2 of their combat drones with a hacking device he had built from scrap parts. Ven blinded Torak with a flash grenade, buying precious seconds. Krill's charge actually knocked the armored beast to the ground, and Tejo fought like a demon. He was faster than they expected. Smarter than they expected. He hit pressure points they did not know they had. He dodged attacks that should have been impossible to avoid. When it was over, Squad 1 had lost 2 members to elimination. Torak himself had taken damage. And Squad 9 was still standing. You cost us the lead," Torak growled. For the first time, there was real anger in his voice. Tejo was on his knees, barely able to stand. Blood dripped from a cut on his forehead. His body felt broken. But he looked up at the crystalline giant and spoke clearly. "We are Squad 9. We are the rejects. And we do not give up." Then he collapsed. Krill caught him before he hit the ground. The insectoid lifted the human onto his back and turned to the rest of the squad. "We keep moving," Krill said. His voice was different now, stronger, certain. "We do not stop. We do not quit. We finish this." For him, they moved. Squad 9, the weakest squad in the Academy, carried their unconscious human through the corridors of Hell. And they did not stop. Tejo woke up in a medical bay at hour 65. Yunhana was standing over him, her face tight with worry. "You are an idiot," she said. "I know." He sat up. Pain shot through every part of his body. He ignored it. "How is my squad?" "They are still in the exercise. Krill carried you here and then went back. They refused to quit." Tejo smiled. A real smile for the first time since he arrived at the Academy. "Good. That is good." He stood up from the bed. Hana grabbed his arm. "What are you doing? You need rest. You have taken more damage than any cadet in Academy history. Your elimination count is at 8. 2 more and you are done. Then I will not take 2 more. He pulled on his uniform. How much time is left? 7 hours. He walked out of the medical bay. His legs shook. His vision blurred. But he walked anyway. He found his squad in Sector 3, huddled behind a barrier, hiding from patrol drums. When they saw him, their faces lit up with shock and joy. "You are awake." Pel's voice cracked with emotion. "We thought you would sleep until the end. I would never let you finish without me." Krill stepped forward. The big insectoid placed his claw on Taiho's shoulder. "You taught us something, human. You taught us that giving up is a choice. And we chose not to give up. We are still the Reject Squad," Aura said. But she was grinning now. "But we are the Reject Squad that does not quit." Ven finished. Taiho looked at them. These aliens who had hated him, feared him, dismissed him. Now, they were standing together as a unit. As a family. "Then let us finish this," he said. The final challenge came at hour 70. Every remaining squad was called to the central reactor core. Commander Vallis's voice echoed through the speakers. "Attention all cadets. A cascading reactor failure has been detected. If the breach is not sealed within 60 minutes, the station will be destroyed. This is a simulation, but the challenge is real. One squad must enter the reactor chamber and manually seal the breach from inside." A murmur went through the gathered cadets. The reactor chamber was filled with simulated radiation. Anyone who entered would be hit with elimination beams continuously. It was a suicide mission. "The squad that volunteers will almost certainly be eliminated," Volus continued. "But they will save the station and ensure the exercise continues for everyone else. This is the final test. Who will sacrifice themselves for the mission?" Silence. No squad stepped forward. Even Torak and his elite team stayed silent. No one wanted to be eliminated in the final hours after fighting so hard. Taiho looked at his squad. They looked back at him. They knew what he was thinking. "No," Krill said. "You have taken enough shots. You will be eliminated the moment you enter. Human radiation tolerance is higher than any species here," Taiho replied. "The simulation is calibrated for alien biology. I can survive longer than anyone else in that chamber." "You will still be eliminated," Pel said quietly. "Your score will be forfeit. Everything you have suffered will mean nothing." "No," Taiho shook his head. "If I seal the breach, the exercise continues. And Squad 9 finishes. That is all that matters." He stepped forward before anyone could stop him. "Squad 9 volunteers," he announced. Every head in the room turned to look at him. Commander Vallis's reptilian eyes narrowed. "You understand what you are doing, Cadet Park?" "Yes, sir." "You will be eliminated." "Yes, sir." "But my squad will pass." Volus stared at him for a long moment. Something flickered in those cold eyes. It might have been respect. "Very well." Enter the chamber. Taiho walked toward the reactor doors. His squad followed him. "You cannot come with me," he told them. "Stay here. Wait for me to seal the breach. Then finish the exercise." Krill grabbed his arm. "We will not let you go alone. You have to." Taiho gently removed the claw from his arm. "I need you to finish. I need you to show everyone that Squad 9 is not a joke. I need you to prove that the rejects can succeed. Can you do that for me?" Krill's mandibles clicked. His compound eyes were wet with something that might have been tears. "I will," the insectoid said. "I promise. We all promise." Pel added. Aura and Ven spread their wings and bowed their heads in the avian gesture of respect. Taiho turned and entered the reactor chamber. The pain was immediate and overwhelming. Elimination beams fired from every direction, hitting him again and again. His elimination counter jumped from 8 to 9 to 10. His uniform glowed red, signaling that he was officially eliminated, but his body still moved. Eliminated cadets were supposed to stop and wait for extraction. But Taeho did not stop. He crawled forward through the radiation and the pain and the fire. His hands, still scarred from rope burns weeks ago, gripped the manual seal controls. His muscles screamed. His vision went white. He felt like his body was being torn apart from the inside. 4 seconds left on the countdown. He turned the seal. The breech closed. The reactor stabilized. The exercise continued. Park Taeho collapsed on the floor of the reactor chamber, his body broken, his elimination tag glowing red. He had failed, and he had won. When he woke up again, Hana was there. But this time, she was smiling. "Your squad finished 7th, she said. "Out of 40 squads." Krill carried Pell across the finish line. The twins held off 2 attacking squads to buy them time. They did it. Taeho closed his eyes. 7th place. The reject squad had finished 7th. "There is more," Hana continued. Every remaining squad, including Squad 1, submitted a formal petition to the Academy Council. They said your elimination should be voided. They said you were not defeated. You sacrificed yourself for the mission. What did the council decide? The door opened. Commander Volus walked in. All 6 of his limbs were folded against his body in the reptilian gesture of deep respect. "The petition passed," Volus said. "Unanimously. Your elimination has been voided. Cadet Park, you have passed training day." Taeho stared at him. "Sir, I have trained soldiers for 200 cycles. I have seen every species in the coalition at their best and their worst. I have never seen what I saw today." Volus leaned closer. "Your species does not know when to quit. At first, I thought this was a weakness. I was wrong. It is your greatest strength. Thank you, sir." Volus straightened. "When you recover, report to my office. I am recommending you for advanced command training. The coalition needs soldiers like you." He left. Hana squeezed Taeho's hand. "You did it," she whispered. "You actually did it." "No," Taeho said. "We did it. Squad 9 did it." The door burst open. Krill rushed in, followed by Pell and the twins. They surrounded his bed, talking over each other, their voices filled with joy and relief. "You are alive. We finished 7th. Everyone is talking about us. The human who sealed the reactor." Taeho looked at them. His squad. His family. These aliens who had become his brothers and sisters. He had come to this academy alone. He had been mocked, dismissed, and underestimated. He had been told that humans were weak, primitive, and worthless. But he had shown them the truth. Humans did not give up. Humans did not stop. Humans fought for their friends until the very end. And now the entire galaxy knew it. By the next enrollment cycle. The Galactic Coalition Military Academy received 400 applications from Earth. The age of humanity had begun.